Hi, my name is Chris Greer, and I am presenting Disney's Pixar's Coco. Coco is about a young Mexican boy who is desperately searching for Ernesto de la Cruz. Ernesto was a famous singer in the 1940s and 1950s. Coco, who loves music, finds out that Ernesto de la Cruz is his great great grandfather. In an effort to find his great great grandfather, he travels through the land of the dead and participates in Dia de Muertos. Throughout the movie, you see a lot of cultural aspects that happen. You see little things throughout the movie. You see Dia de Muertos, you see the Alebrijas, and you see X, which is Zaloitzcuintlis. And they also add other famous characters throughout the movie and just puts them in there. If they represent Mexican culture as a whole, then they put them in there. First, we're going to talk about Dia de Muertos. Dia de Muertos represents the remembrance of past loved ones, and the movie Coco takes place in the land of the dead, like I mentioned earlier. On this day, whenever this day comes around, if you participate in the day, you will, for all your loved ones, you will find pictures of each one and put them up into a shrine, like you see in the picture, and light a candle for each loved one that you've lost. Also, they have like little skulls that represent each person that you can do as well, and honestly, I think that is a very cool way of looking at death and remembering our loved ones and who we've lost. Next, we're going to talk about the Alebrijas. The Alebrijas in Mexican culture represent spiritual animals. So, for instance, right here, he is a cougar or a cat, but he has wings and has horns, and it's fantasy in Mexican culture, but at the same time, it's a spirit animal, and that's how they see him. And whenever you see an Alebrijas throughout the movie, or if you see it in a picture or a painting, you will usually notice that they are made and with vibrant colors that stand out, that really pop, and the creatures don't look like regular creatures because they are fantasy. And you see them all throughout the movie. X, which I mentioned earlier, Zaloitzcuintlis, they are believed to be spiritual protectors in Mexican culture. Miguel's dog, Coco's dog, Dante, he was his spiritual protector throughout the movie. He travels with him through the land of the dead and comes back with him to the land of the living. That's a significant part to the movie. The fact that Dante, the dog, was able to travel through both regions, through both realms, and I think the Alebrijas and Dante were probably my favorite parts of the movie because of how they're represented and how they're made and what they use to make them, you know. And the X, they are in the movie Dante is portrayed as a street dog, as just one you would adopt off the street. But in reality, they are actually high priced and high valued in Mexican culture, also Aztecian culture. What makes an X is that they can participate in the land of the dead and the land of the living. They can go with you and come back with you. And that's what makes an X an X. And what makes an Alebrijas is that it only stays in the land of the dead. the X can go through the land of the dead and come to the land of the living. Now we're going to talk about some of the famous cameos, and by cameo I mean famous Mexican people who represent Mexican culture as a whole. So first they add Frida Kahlo, which is a world-renowned, everyone knows who she is. She is a portrait painter in Mexican culture. And they also add, for instance, El Santos, who is a lucha libre wrestler. And he was famous then, back in some time. And then they also add Mexican actress and singer to be El Santos's date, Maria Felix. Maria Felix, she is known for her singing more than her acting. A little more into the little details about some of the Mexican culture aspects that are in Coco. You notice Miguel's brother right here on the right side. You notice Miguel's brother wearing a green jersey throughout the movie. That green jersey represents the national Mexico soccer team. And in Mexico, whether you have an interest in soccer or not, whether you play soccer, whether you don't play the sport at all, in Mexico, to support your team is to support your country. That's what they do. They all over Mexico, all Mexican families, they wear those green jerseys to represent where they come from, their country. Also, on the left side, you see a dessert that is on the servant's desk, which is called a pan dulce, which is basically just a Mexican shortbread, sweetbread that they have at most Mexican dinners and most Mexican households and stores and stuff like that. And you see both of these throughout the whole movie. My point of view, what I took from Coco was that I really didn't think I would learn anything new or gain any knowledge from a kid's Disney movie. But the way they put Coco together and the way they assembled all of the cultural aspects throughout the movie, I believe that I've learned some new things. I've learned how to look at death from a different perspective, and I believe that the way that they look at death, the way the Mexican culture looks at death, is a greater way than me personally, than the way I look at death. And I feel like from watching this movie, I've taken away and learned many things for another culture, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. These are my sources that I used. I used a source from Slate Magazine, from USA Today, and from the Gonzaga Bulletin. Thank you.